When I moved into Maple Ridge Estates, I wasn't looking for trouble. I wanted peace, quiet, and a chance to tinker with my solar-powered dream home. I'd spent a decade buried in municipal infrastructure, designing power grids, backup systems, and emergency protocols. So this picturesque neighborhood with its neatly trimmed lawns felt like a reward. My plan was simple. Install solar panels, hook up a custom lithium iron phosphate battery array, and live a little off-grid in suburbia. Maybe even find a neighbor who'd geek out over battery chemistries at a barbecue. Instead, I got Karen. Not just any Karen, but the asterisk Karen, the HOA president who ruled with a clipboard and a grudge. She strutted over on my third day, right after my panels went up, and declared they violated Clause 14.3, subsection B of the HOA bylaws, something about reflective external structures. I explained they were city-approved and invisible from the street, but she huffed about aesthetics and stormed off, muttering into her phone. That was our introduction. Karen wasn't just petty, she was a one-woman tyranny. Maple Ridge had a history of HOA abuse under her reign, fines for overgrown herbs, citations for legal home upgrades, and a ban on anything remotely individualistic. Gnomes, forbidden, wind chimes, auditory pollution, decorative rocks, measured for compliance. I'd done my homework and fortified my property with legal protections, thinking I could outmaneuver her. I was wrong. She escalated fast, 5 warning letters in 2 weeks after my system went live. One claimed my battery boxes weren't harmoniously integrated into the landscape. Another said the inverters hummed disturbed birds. It was absurd, but I stayed calm. I hosted a battery education barbecue to show neighbors my setup wasn't a threat. Most loved it. Karen didn't show, though her car circled the block 3 times. Then came the first power outage, a spring storm that knocked out the grid. My house stayed lit thanks to my batteries, and I ran an extension cord to an elderly neighbor's fridge. Word spread, I became a minor hero. Karen, though, was livid. She called an emergency HOA meeting without inviting me and tried to ban visible battery structures retroactively. A leaked recording revealed her calling me a tech bro anarchist with an ego problem. I laughed, but I knew she'd go further. She did. One afternoon, after a long shift debugging substation software, I came home to a nightmare. My gate was open, my security cameras were dark, and my $20,000 battery array was trashed, slashed, soaked, and bashed in with what looked like a tire iron. No note, just spite. I was furious. The police took a report, but the footage was gone until I remembered the solar-powered bird feeder camera I'd installed as a side project. I pulled the SD card, and there she was, Karen hopping my fence in broad daylight with her teenage son, toolbox in tow. They spent 20 minutes wrecking my system, her kicking units, him laughing, her miming a screwdriver stab at the inverter. It was blatant, personal, and stupid. I could have gone straight to the police, but I had a better idea. Karen didn't know I'd designed the city's smart grid monitoring system 3 years earlier. I had legal access to non-personal commercial power data, including the HOA clubhouse's usage. I'd noticed odd spikes, hairdryer-level wattage, heating surges, consistent with a salon. An unlicensed, power-hungry salon hidden in her garage, billed to the HOA. She'd destroyed my batteries, but she just handed me the switch to her downfall. The storm hit like a freight train, unexpected, loud, and perfect for my purposes. Rain pounded the rooftops, wind rattled fences, and the neighborhood went dark as the grid failed. My house, though, glowed like a beacon, my backup batteries humming silently beneath the chaos. I brewed coffee, cracked open a book, and smirked at the irony. Karen's sabotage hadn't stopped me yet. Through the storm-blurred window, I saw her silhouette on her porch, staring at me, not the tempest. She was obsessed. The next morning, power returned, and neighbors thanked me for offering to share juice during the outage. Karen stayed silent. No apology, no acknowledgement, just a fresh HOA violation notice in my mailbox claiming my system caused visual dissonance during emergencies. I reread it 3 times to confirm it wasn't satire. A week later, I came home to a sickening déjà vu. My gate was unlatched, the side door ajar, and my rebuilt battery system, hastily patched after the first attack, was demolished again. Cables torn, inverter shattered, casings bent. Someone had used a crowbar this time. My stomach sank. The security feed was cut, clean, and professional. I called the police, filed another report, and salvaged what I could, rage simmering beneath my calm exterior. I knew it was Karen, but proof was elusive. until I sat on my patio, staring at the wreckage, and spotted the bird feeder cam's lens glinting behind a trellis. Hands shaking, I loaded the SD card. The footage was grainy from the rain, but unmistakable. Karen and her son, sneaking in like cartoon villains, her in gardening gloves with a screwdriver, him with a tire iron. They spent 22 minutes dismantling my work, laughing as she smashed the inverter. I froze the frame on her triumphant grin. I didn't rush to the cops. This was gold, trespassing, property destruction, premeditated malice, all on tape. I backed it up 3 ways: cloud, USB, external drive. Then I leaned into my ace, my role in designing the city's power monitoring software. I had admin access to commercial logs, including the HOA clubhouses, a shared-use structure. I'd long suspected something off. Its power draw spiked weekday afternoons, far beyond what a meeting room with a coffee maker should pull. Digging deeper, the data sang. Blow-dryer surges at 1:00 p.m., curling iron peaks at 2:30, shut down by 5:00, salon patterns. Karen was running an illegal, unlicensed beauty shop out of the HOA building, siphoning communal power paid by residents. She was stealing, overloading circuits, and risking the grid, all while fining us for tulips. I didn't strike yet. I let her stew, waving cheerfully when I saw her, thanking her for her interest in my setup. Meanwhile, I built my arsenal: the sabotage video, HOA power logs, charts, timestamps, even Yelp reviews of her salon under a fake name she never registered. I chatted up neighbors, casual, subtle, asking about odd finds or HOA quirks. Stories flooded in: fines for sidewalk chalk, threats over invisible fences. A dam broke, people were fed up. I contacted a zoning official I knew, hinting at an illegal business in a residential zone, and sent anonymized data. I didn't name Karen yet. Then I called my lawyer, prepping a civil suit for the battery damage. Karen thought she'd won, strutting like a movie villain mid-story. She didn't see I'd flipped a switch, one she couldn't unplug. Karen's confidence was her undoing. She couldn't resist gloating. The day after trashing my batteries again, she threw a garden party for her HOA cronies, all decked out in folding chairs under an HOA-logoed canopy, sipping cucumber water and crowing about standards. I walked by to grab my mail, gave a polite nod, and caught her smug smile, pure victory in her eyes. I wasn't mad anymore, I was calculating. While she preened, I was pulling gigabytes of data from the grid monitoring system she didn't know I controlled. The HOA clubhouse's power logs that week were damning. Blow-dryer spikes at 1:00 p.m., curling iron surges by 2:30, all off by 5:00, salon hours, clockwork. She was running clients through the back, billing the neighborhood for her profits. I added thermal signatures and door access logs, courtesy of a firmware patch I'd installed months earlier, to my growing dossier. I gave her a week to bask, letting her fine people for mailbox flags and intimidate neighbors over shrubbery. Then I moved quietly. I launched an anonymous blog, HOA Horror Files, posting sanitized resident complaints, my battery saga included, no names attached. A Google form brought a deluge: fines for birthday decorations, harassment over fence wiring. Within days, it had 200 local hits, whispers spread. Karen tried to dismiss it, even accused the Smiths, retired dog lovers, of running it. She was unraveling, and I loved it. Meanwhile, I'd filed the zoning complaint, feeding the city power charts, audio logs of hair dryers, and Yelp screenshots of her alias. They flagged the clubhouse for a no-notice inspection. She had no clue what was coming. Her big moment was the spring gala, her pastel-drenched HOA Oscars, complete with a tent, violinist, and programs crowning her president for life. The question mark a farce. I RSVP'd, arriving early with lemonade in hand. The clubhouse power ran through a breaker box I'd designed, and I'd tipped off the city inspector about unauthorized mods, backed by thermal scans. He was there that morning, poking around. Halfway through Karen's self-congratulatory speech, the power died, mic cut, fan stopped, violinist faltered. She froze, glancing at the breaker, then me. I shrugged, sipping my drink. The crowd murmured, the gala fizzled. Then a city van rolled up, 2 inspectors, clipboards out, asking for the HOA president. Karen hissed about it being a private event, but they had legal authority to probe commercial misuse and fund misappropriation. Neighbors started questioning the sink, hair products, and spiking bills in the clubhouse. She stumbled through excuses, brittle, panicked, as the violinist Bilate and phones came out to record. I stayed silent, the data spoke. Next day, she emailed a leave of absence for personal reflection, dodging the inspection, violation notice, and my pending civil suit, bolstered by HD footage and witness statements. The neighborhood buzzed, no longer scared but curious, organizing in driveways, debating new leadership. Corinne's tide was turning. She couldn't stop it with threats anymore. She crossed me, and I'd traced her lies back to her own fuse box. She thought power was hers to wield, but I knew it came from understanding the system. Hers was about to shock her. The gala was just the spark. The real fire was coming, and I had every wire mapped out. Corinne didn't handle defeat gracefully. She vanished for 2 days after the gala fiasco and zoning inspection, leaving an eerie silence in her wake. No emails, no threats, no petty citations. I knew she wasn't done. She was regrouping. On the third day at 6:42 a.m., my doorbell rang. 2 officers stood on my porch, stern-faced, asking about a criminal complaint. Corinne had accused me of hacking, claiming I'd tampered with the HOA systems, cut the clubhouse power, and disrupted the gala out of spite. She painted me as a tech-obsessed menace, even citing my city infrastructure work as proof of my dangerous skills. The cops were just doing their jobs, so I invited them in, calm as ever. She didn't realize every move I'd made was legal, documented, and authorized. I'd never touched anything I wasn't cleared for. I handed the officers a folder, timestamps, data logs, emails, and the HOA's own agreement from 2 years back granting me admin rights to their monitoring tech. They left apologetic, clearly seeing her complaint was flimsy, built on fury, not facts. Still, it irked me. She filed a false report, a crime now tied to my civil suit, opening doors for harassment and defamation claims. My lawyer was thrilled. Corinne had stumbled into another trap, but she didn't stop. She blasted a neighborhood email titled, "Protecting Our Neighborhood from Cyber Intrusions," warning of individuals with technical knowledge, destabilizing the community, me unnamed but obvious. The irony was thick, the illegal salon queen calling me the villain. I didn't respond. The court date loomed. The small claims hearing was a Thursday afternoon affair. I arrived early, evidence binders in tow. Corinne swept in late, sunglasses indoors, dramatic scarf, radiating attitude, her son in tow as her witness. She smirked at me. It didn't last. The judge, a no-nonsense veteran, had me go first. I laid it out. The battery sabotage, lost footage, the bird feeder cam reveal. The video played, Corinne and her son hopping my fence, her kicking the inverter, him laughing. The room went quiet. The judge leaned in. I submitted repair bills, zoning complaints, HOA logs, and notarized neighbor statements confirming Corinne's presence and bragging. She squirmed. Her turn came and she spun a wild tale. My batteries leaked chemicals, endangered kids, and she didn't recall trespassing. She claimed the video was fake, then, desperately, blamed her son entirely, saying she just followed to keep him safe. Her son's face drained. The judge zeroed in. Asked point-blank if she'd ordered the destruction, he hesitated, then cracked, admitted it was her idea to stop that guy from taking over. His voice broke. Corinne stared like he'd betrayed her. The ruling was swift. She'd pay full damages plus fees, with a note on her conduct hinting at criminal escalation if needed. She stormed out, muttering, dragging her son like baggage. Word spread fast. Court records went public, neighbors shared links, and a meme of Corinne kicking the inverter captioned HOA, hysterically out of authority, went viral locally. Within a week, residents demanded a vote to oust her as HOA president. The meeting was packed. She flailed, calling it a smear campaign, but the footage, ruling, and salon proof buried her. The vote was a landslide. Her key card was cut, her nameplate scrapped, and her replacement, the neighbor she'd fined for a flamingo. Corinne's reign was over. The air in Maple Ridge Estates shifted after Corinne's fall. It was like the neighborhood exhaled for the first time in years. The postcard-perfect lawns and picket fences stayed, but the vibe changed. People waved without hesitation, kids scribbled chalk art on sidewalks sans fines, and neighbors who'd barely nodded before were now firing up grills together. Corinne's ousting didn't just strip her of power. It cracked open a community that had been suffocating under her rule. I didn't plan to become the block's tech guru, but after the lawsuit payout hit, I dove into rebuilding my battery system. Bigger, smarter, buried in an underground vault under gravel and flowers. She'd need heavy machinery to touch it now. I also juiced up my security. Motion floodlights, perimeter alarms, an AI doorbell with facial recognition, Petty, sure, but satisfying. It wasn't just about me, though. I started helping neighbors quietly, no charge. Solar panels for 3, battery storage for 2, and a guide to snag city energy grants. What Karen wielded to control, I turned into empowerment. One neighbor dubbed it revenge by illumination. I couldn't argue. Karen, meanwhile, faded into a ghost. Her house stood silent, lawn browning at the edges, no more patrols or HOA emails. She peeked out her window sometimes, a sitcom villain in retreat, but never approached me post-court, post-vote, post-everything. Then overnight, a for sale sign stabbed her yard, slanted, defeated. Online listings popped up, rumors swirled. Florida for family, an HOA-free zone, doubtful. Karen thrived on rules. No one stopped her exit. It was a quiet, awkward end to her saga. But the story wasn't done. 3 months after she left, I landed a gig upgrading a power grid 20 miles away, solar integration, smart monitoring, resident data interfaces. Clean work, good folks. On my second visit, I swung by the main office to check meters and froze. That voice, sharp, cutting, unmistakable, Karen, berating a delivery guy over a package left 3 inches off mark. New haircut, new shades, same snarl, same clipboard. She slithered into another HOA pond to rule. She didn't spot me. I slipped away, laughing all the way to my truck. Of course she'd found fresh turf. Of course she'd resumed her beige tyranny. But this time I was wiring her new kingdom. I didn't act right away. I built their system as requested, clean, efficient, transparent with a twist, public dashboards for every resident. Energy use, alerts, historical data, all visible, no shadows for a salon scam to hide in. If she tried her old tricks, the setup would flag it, notifying the board instantly. I left that job with a quiet grin. No sabotage, no pursuit, just a job so well done that her next misstep would trip her without me lifting a finger. Back in Maple Ridge, life bloomed. The new HOA president, chill but firm, greenlit a community garden, a library box, and rules protecting solar setups. No one cared about mismatched shutters anymore. Karen's obsession with perfection was gone, replaced by something real kind. I never told anyone about her new haunt. That epilogue was mine, a private footnote. We won not by brawling, but by outsmarting her system with ours. Maple Ridge Estates didn't just recover. It thrived in ways I hadn't dared imagine. The new HOA president, once fined for that flamingo, brought a relaxed pragmatism that flipped the script. Instead of policing bush heights, we built a neighborhood garden. Tomatoes and sunflowers sprouted where Karen's clipboard once reigned. A tiny library box popped up near the park, stuffed with paperbacks and no fines for late returns. Kids chalked hopscotch grids freely, and cookouts became a weekend ritual. The tyranny of perfection was dead, replaced by a messy human warmth. My role as the unofficial tech whisperer stuck. I wasn't just the guy who beat Karen. I was the one who could tweak your solar setup or explain grid rebates over a beer. It felt good, like I'd turned her weapon into our toolbox. My new battery system hummed underground, untouchable, and discreet, powering my house through every flicker of the grid. Neighbors asked for help, and I delivered. Solar panels here, battery backups there, all paired with grant applications to keep it affordable. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was a quiet revolution, lighting up the block one house at a time. Karen's old place sat empty for a while after the for sale sign went up, then sold to a young couple who promptly painted the shutters blue, heresy under her regime. No one blinked. She was a memory, a cautionary tale whispered over grills. Remember when she fined the Hendersons for tulips? Her silence was deafening. No emails, no sightings, no trace beyond that final glimpse 20 miles away. That run-in stuck with me, though. Wiring her new development's grid was a cosmic joke I couldn't shake. I'd built it bulletproof, public dashboards tracking every watt, alerts for odd spikes, data open to all residents. If she tried her salon hustle again, the system would snitch before she could cash a check. I didn't tell Maple Ridge about it. They didn't need her shadow creeping back. It was my private win, a circuit-level checkmate baked into her next sandbox. I pictured her strutting around, clipboard in hand, oblivious to the net I'd woven not out of spite but competence. She'd handed me the keys, and I'd locked her in with transparency. If she tripped, it'd be her own fault, and I wouldn't even need to watch. Back home, the changes held. The HOA meetings turned into actual discussions, playground upgrades, not paint swatch debates. People laughed, planned, lived. My security upgrade stayed, floodlights, alarms, that smug AI doorbell, just in case, but they rarely triggered. The neighborhood had shaken off her ghost, and I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Karen had underestimated me, thinking power was about barking orders. I knew it was quieter, built into systems, earned through trust. She'd ruled by fear. I'd won by wiring the truth. Maple Ridge was ours now, not hers, and every solar panel gleaming in the sun was proof. She could relocate, replant, rebrand, but wherever she went, the grid was waiting, and some of us still knew how to read it. The transformation of Maple Ridge Estates settled into a steady hum, like a grid finally balanced after years of overload. The new HOA president didn't just loosen the reins. She rewrote the rules to protect what mattered: solar setups, personal energy systems, digital transparency. The garden flourished, kids swapped books from the library box, and cookouts turned into block parties with no RSVP fines. My role as the tech whisperer grew organically. Neighbors didn't just want help with panels. They wanted to understand the system, to own it. I taught them how to track their usage, apply for rebates, even tweak their inverters. It wasn't about me anymore. It was about handing them the tools Karen had hoarded. My underground battery vault purred along, a silent middle finger to her crowbar days, while my security setup, floodlights, alarms, AI doorbell, kept watch, more habit than necessity now. Karen's old house, with its blue-shuttered new owners, became a symbol of the shift. No one cared about her color codes anymore. Her name faded from conversation, replaced by "remember when?" anecdotes swapped over beers. I didn't miss her, but I couldn't forget that last twist, her barking at a delivery guy in her new HOA kingdom, 20 miles away. I'd wired that grid with surgical precision, public dashboards, real-time alerts, no room for her to siphon power unnoticed. She didn't know I'd been there, didn't know I'd built her next cage out of clarity. I didn't follow up, no need. The system would catch her if she slipped, and that was enough. It was justice without fanfare, woven into the wires, passive and permanent. Back in Maple Ridge, the peace felt earned. The HOA stopped being a shadow government and started fixing potholes, planning picnics. My neighbors didn't fear fines for mismatched planters. They planted what they liked, and it showed. I kept my final Karen encounter to myself. It was a footnote, not their burden. We'd beaten her not with shouting matches, but with quiet competence, knowing the system better than she ever could. She'd thought power was a throne to sit on. I knew it was a circuit to master. Every solar panel I installed, every watt we saved, was a brick in a wall she couldn't climb. Her reign was a glitch we debugged, and the neighborhood ran smoother without her. I wondered sometimes if she'd learned anything, packing her new development with that same clipboard snarl. Probably not. People like Karen don't change, they relocate. But this time she'd picked a grid I'd already mapped. If she tried her old games, the residents would see it on their dashboards before she could blink. I didn't need to chase her. I'd built the trap into the infrastructure. Maple Ridge didn't need to know. It was my quiet coda, a smirk at the universe's symmetry. We turned her control into our freedom, and that was the real win. A community that didn't just survive her but outgrew her, one wire at a time. Maple Ridge Estates had become more than a neighborhood. It was a living rebuttal to Karen's reign. The garden bloomed with chaotic charm, the library box overflowed with dog-eared novels, and block parties spilled into the streets, no permits required. The HOA, under its new flamingo-loving president, didn't just tolerate solar panels. They encouraged them, funding workshops I led on energy hacks. My battery vault ran like clockwork, powering my home through every storm, while my security toys, floodlights, alarms, AI doorbell, sat mostly idle, a relic of pettier days. I wasn't the tech whisperer out of spite anymore. I was just a guy who liked helping, and the neighborhood leaned into it. We turned Karen's weaponized rules into a shared strength, and it showed in every unshackled lawn and unshuttered window. Karen's ghost lingered only in memory, her old house now a vibrant hub for its new owners, her name a punchline at barbecues. I didn't dwell on her, but that final twist in her new development 20 miles away stayed with me. I'd wired their grid with a transparency she'd hate. Public dashboards showing every watt, alerts for oddities, no shadows for her salon schemes. She didn't know I'd been the architect, didn't know I'd baked her next downfall into the system. I didn't check on her, no point. If she tried anything, the residents would catch it, and I'd be a ghost in the machine, grinning from afar. It was the cleanest kind of revenge. No confrontation, just competence, letting her hang herself on a rope I'd already strung. Back home, the victory was quieter but deeper. Maple Ridge didn't need to fear clipboards anymore. It thrived on trust, not threats. I never told them about Corinne's new pond. That was my private epilogue, a nod to the grid's reach. We won by outsmarting her, not outshouting her, knowing the system, bending it to protect, not punish. She'd mistaken power for dominance. I saw it as circuits, choices, quiet resilience. Her tyranny had been a glitch we'd fixed, and what emerged was real. A community that laughed, grew, lived. If she ever moved again, chasing another HOA to rule, she'd find the same truth waiting. The grid's everywhere, and some of us still read it like a book. I didn't gloat, didn't need to. Maple Ridge was proof enough, glowing with solar light and human noise. Corinne could relocate, replant, resnarl, but she'd never outrun the wiring. Power isn't a crown, it's a current, and I'd learned to steer it long before she picked up her first tire iron. Justice didn't need a spotlight here. It hummed in the background, steady and sure, built into the bones of the place we'd reclaimed. She'd shocked herself on her own fuse box, and we'd moved on, brighter for it. That was the endgame. Not her defeat, but our dawn, wired tight and running free.